Hello, people from around the world, and welcome to Virtual Church. I've got my lemsip, I've got a bunch of hymns lined up, we've got some organ music, and we've got some chat as well. Welcome to today's Lent Virtual Church. I'm going to have a quick sip of my lemsip, and then we'll get into the first hymn, which is one of the great hymns for Lent. 40 days and 40 nights thou wast fasting in the wild. What a growl this organ has indeed. This is the organ of Rotterdam, and of course is wonderful for word painting. Verse 4, and if Satan vexing sore, flesh or spirit should assail. It's a great hymn for word painting, this, isn't it? Verse 2, prowling beasts about thy way, stones thy pillow, earth thy bed. I think that is one of the if I think of Lent and think of a Lenten hymn, that is always the one that comes to my mind straight away. Well, it's very good to be here with you all. I've got the chat right above me so I can see what you're chatting away with. The more you chat, the better these virtual churches are. So get yourselves involved in the chat. Please do introduce yourselves by giving a +1 and your location. That is the Beauty in Sound way. That's a tradition that we've started. So I've got a few things to talk about tonight, and the most important thing to talk about tonight is how much money we raised last night for Ukraine. So I will get on to that very, very quickly. In fact, so quickly, it'll be after the next hymn, which is going to be another great hymn for Lent. Actually, I should say the first hymn was requested by Nick McVeigh. Actually, I put that hymn at the top of the broadcast today, but Nick actually made that request only moments before we went live. So you claimed it for your own Nick. The next one hasn't been requested as far as I'm aware. Jesu, lover of my soul, let me to thy bosom fly, while the nearer waters roll, while the tempest still is high. So I think my voice is going to get lower and lower throughout the duration of today's virtual church. I wonder how low it will be by the end of VC today. I think last night I got down to a bottom C on the organ. So let's see if I can get down to a bottom B flat tonight. That can be a McVeigh challenge tonight. So Aberystwyth is going to be the tune, and we'll have just 3 verses. A wonderful Welsh tune there called Aberystwyth, gorgeous, by Joseph Parry. In this hymn book, there are actually 4 verses, but I hope you don't mind, but I only gave you 3 verses. Where I omitted verse 3, which is in here, it's starred. So how about I just I run through last night's donations, because this is really important. Have managed to tot up the donations from 3 different, I guess, perspectives, 3 different angles. So, of course, there was the donations in the super chat. There was the donations via PayPal. and then there's the donations that you made to either the UN crisis relief or your own charity like the Red Cross. So there are 3 different channels of ways of donating. So here we go. This is how much Beauty and Sound yesterday raised for our Ukrainian friends. So in the YouTube chat, there were 16 donations which came to, now this is a bit complicated because there are fees which Google take, but the total YouTube chat came to £347.83. Okay, so but YouTube will take a cut of that. But you guys, you're now clever enough to know that YouTube take a cut, and actually most of you donate via PayPal because there's a much smaller cut on PayPal. Clever thinking. So on PayPal there were 22 donations, and you might know approximately how much that came to because I showed you last night on the screen, live sort of coming in. PayPal came to £1,102.04. And then the individual donations, so these are people who donated individually to either the UN or to whatever, such as the Red Cross or the Disasters Emergency Committee, whatever. Okay, so this is what you've donated yourselves. There were 14 individual, and I don't actually, I didn't tot up all of that. But anyway, there are 14 individual donations there. The total amount, which is the important bit anyway, isn't it? The total amount that we've sent to Ukraine, well, I haven't sent it yet. I need to send it very soon because Caroline and I will put in some money ourselves as well. And I'll show you me clicking the button so I can prove that I've sent it. The total amount is £2,930.28. Now, I feel sort of 2 ways about that. I feel, on the positive side, I feel very grateful to you, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we've done, undoubtedly. But on the second, on the other hand, it makes me feel very sad. That £3,000 to you and I might be a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of what's required, it's a speck, isn't it? If it was, 3 million, it might be almost, 3 billion. It might be more nearer the mark. But whatever we can give is helpful, isn't it? And people around the world are donating. So it's a sort of a bittersweet occasion. But I think we can be proud that throughout the course of one organ recital, we raised about £3,000, or over £3,000, because as I say, we'll put some money in as well. So thank you for that. Excuse me. Right, let's go on, shall we? I've got my list here, my printed list of stuff that I've got to do. I've got nobody in my ear tonight, no one in my ear, so anything could happen, basically. Anything could happen and anything will happen. Nick McVeigh has had his hymn. Tristan is up next. Tristan has asked for this one here. The glory of these 40 days we celebrate with songs of praise for Christ, through whom all things were made, himself has fasted and has prayed. The tune is called Halt uns Her, which comes from the 16th century, and it's been arranged by JSB. I'm going to have a little sip of my non-coffee lemsip in the Love Monkey mug. I'm not quite sure how I ended up with this mug, but it seems appropriate somehow. That cheeky chappy there looks like a bit like Hugo. He's a love monkey. A big grin. Not much hair. Although, he's got more than his dad. Now after that, because that was harmonised by Bach, let's just have a very short chorale prelude from the Orgelbuchlein, music by the same composer, Bach, and it's been requested by Ian Garden, and typically I can't find it. It's page 74 in here. Alle Menschen, müssen, sterben, which has a rather dreary title of All Men Must Die, which I think is a bit more sort of sinister. It's not quite as sinister as it sounds. We will all die, basically, at some point in the future. Yes, anyway, let's have this chorale, which the text was apparently written for a funeral in 1652. Whose funeral? I have no idea. So I'm going to find a plenum sound, that is essentially mixtures, principal chorus going up to the mixtures. I'm going to throw a nazard or two in for good measure, and I'm going to have a couple of pedal reeds. It's only about a minute and a half, so if you don't like organ music, you can just wait for a minute and a half, and then we'll be on to the next hymn in a jiffy. So this is actually for Ian Garden. And let's go on to should we go to the main camera? Are you enjoying the camera angles tonight, by the way? Caroline's adjusting them next door, so hopefully she's getting some really cool and funky angles for tonight's stream. All I'm doing is pressing one button, and I can see all the lights changing, and I'm assuming that she's doing things behind the scenes. Back into her producer role, sort of. Bach didn't write that bit. That was just a little bit that I thought would improve the piece. I realised at the beginning I didn't have the great couplers on, which is why it started off a bit quieter than I had it anticipated. But I told you it was short, so much so that we should probably have that played it all through twice. Those Orgelbuchlein chorales are so wonderful, but they are so short, aren't they? They're over before you know it. Now the next hymn has been sent in via a high quality scan. You know I like things in high quality here. The streams are in high quality, audio is in high quality, and therefore the least you guys can do is send me high quality scans if you want an obscure hymn. This is exactly what Ben Wallace has done, and Ben Wallace is going to introduce this hymn himself. So I will hand over to Ben right now.
Hi, this is Ben Wallace. I'd like to introduce the hymn that I've requested this week. It's called Rock of Ages, Cleft for Me. Of course, it's a very popular, very well-known hymn in the Christian church. The tune I've chosen is called New City Fellowship, which was just composed in the 1980s by James Ward. It's very popular nowadays in some portions of the evangelical church in America. and I've participated in many rousing hymn sings with this particular tune. So I'd like for you to hear it and enjoy it.
Thank you very much, good chappy. That's quite a few strepsils that we'll be able to get for that. Some very high quality Waitrose, I think, throat sweets are in order.
Other brands are available.
Other brands, are there? Well, I have Lemsip. That's the same thing, isn't it?
Other brands are available.
Oh, although I've been told by my producer that other brands are apparently available. Thanks very much, Ben, for sending that one through and for your community correspondence. That's a good example of a community correspondence there. If you want to request a hymn and you want to introduce it, just like Ben did, all you need to do is just speak into your phone, click record, speak into your phone, because that would be just a bit odd, speaking into your phone, doing nothing, and then send it to me on email, and I'll play it on VC if it's appropriate.
In the chat, that one.
Was it?
Yes.
That's good. It's not one that I've ever heard before. It's not a hymn that I've ever heard.
I think it's popular across the pond.
Must be popular with our American folk. 686 in the hymnal 1982, which is a request from David Story. And David has requested this because he wants to celebrate his 73rd birthday. So yes, we'll play this one for you, David, no problem at all. So it's, what is it? That's a good question. It's come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. And so on. Music is called Nettleton, and it's been arranged by the wonderful and legendary Jerry Hancock, who was organist at St Thomas Church on Fifth Avenue in New York. Come thou fount of every blessing. Let's have a nice sort of mutation-y sound, shall we? Ready to rock. Here we go. I love the idea that someone in the chat, Pan Lomito, is giving a running commentary on the stops that I'm using. Now, Pan Lomito, can I change these stops and do enough different variations in such a speed that you can't keep up? I wonder who could win that race. Because I like to change it up quite a bit. But it's useful actually. I don't know whether people can actually see. One of the wonderful things about having these physical stops is that you can actually now see the actual stops that I am using. They all align to the stops on the Rotterdam organ. So the great is over here, the quiet or the positive, the solo, the top manual, the swell is here, the pedal is here, and then the chamades are over there. So if you keep an eye out, actually you can see all the stops that I have pulled out at any one time.
No chamades in Lent.
Well, actually, I did use a chamade in that bit, in a previous hymn. I forget what the hymn was now, but I did. Anyway, Roger Richards has asked for a hymn in the same hymn book. Well, that's handy, isn't it? So I can just turn back a few pages and go to "Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing. My dear Redeemer's praise, the glories of my God and King, the triumphs of his grace." Roger Richards. So everyone so far apart from one person, has been a patron. So thank you very much, guys, for your patronage, basically your support. And that's really, really helpful. It allows Virtual Church to keep going, basically, as simple as that. So the reason for Roger requesting this is this hymn invites us by the thousands to join together when so much seeks to divide us. Okay, so here we go. The tune is called Asmon, and the words are by Charles Wesley. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to change the angle. Excuse me. We've been almost got taken offline there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on this occasion any cats were to blame. I think a wrong button was pressed. That's the problem with having the end button right next to the multi-camera button. I think someone might have pressed the wrong button there. And it wasn't me, because my hands were busy down here. And it reminds me, actually, do you remember last night? I was talking to you guys last night in the recital, and there was a great big almighty bang. I don't know whether you heard it, because I haven't listened back to that part of the stream yet. But there was a great big almighty bang from the kitchen, which is just behind the camera. And it sounded like something had been fallen over and smashed, or basically it sounded like a noise that shouldn't have been heard at that particular time, because there was no one in the kitchen. And those people who have cats or a dog will know that a sound like that must surely be that furry little creature. Anyway, it was. Went in next door after the stream last night to see what the damage was. And do you know what it was? No, I haven't got this ready to show you on the stream. But look at this. Look at this. Can you see that? Looks like a murder scene. That, my friends, was a very nice bottle of wine, which, yes, somehow ended up, well, basically being massacred. And if I scroll that, I don't know whether you can see that. I don't know whether you can see that. I'll upload it to Patreon later. But there is hard evidence there that a furry creature was involved. Can you see that piece of incriminating evidence there? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Can you see that piece of incriminating evidence right there? I wonder who that is then. So yeah, luckily, most of the bottle survived. The bottle of wine. The wine survived. I think we had to forfeit maybe a glass though, or maybe half a glass, luckily. And it was a nice wine. It wasn't one of the cheap ones, because actually, truth be told, I bought a bottle of wine. I bought 2 bottles of wine for when Colin Walsh came round, and we only got through one bottle. Only got through one bottle. We didn't drink it before we did our on the bench talk. We didn't. But the other bottle we opened just the night before last, Friday night, and it was that one. A nice bottle of wine on the kitchen table, covered in cat hairs. Andantino, what would you say? Well, Andantino is going to make our the request for our next hymn. Number 409 in Hymns Ancient and Modern. Cats, you love them, but they're just an absolute nightmare, aren't they? Here we go, number 409. Where are the words? There they are. There is a longing in our hearts, O Lord, for you to reveal yourself to us. There is a longing in our hearts for love we only find in you, our God. The music is by, who's that? The music is by Anne Quilgy. Quilgy, I think that's how you pronounce her surname. Well, I don't know how you pronounce her surname. You know what I'm like with pronunciations. Terrible. Okay, so this one looks like quite a quiet one. That's quite nice, isn't it? So let's have some of these nicely refined stops, which are live stop commentator, and no doubt will identify. And yeah, so this is quite a slow, relaxing one. Starts off with the chorus, then goes into the verse. All right, let's go. Let's see what it's like. It's one of those hymns which ends with the refrain. So there, that you mind scratching my piano stool? It's the words were, there is a longing in our hearts, O Lord, for you to reveal ourselves to us. Yes, I was telling people about you because I suspect full well that it was you. I was showing people that incriminating piece of evidence that you left on the bottle. Were you drinking it first? Is that what happened? Did you drink a little bit too much and became a little bit tipsy? Pawsy. She's a captain of chaos, that cat. There's a reason why she's nicknamed Naughty Nala. It's not because she's all innocent and angelic. No. The clue is in the title. Naughty Nala. Shortened to NN. That's what we call her, NN. Naughty Nala. Steve Richer has sent in this hymn, and I'm actually very pleased he has, because I don't know it. And it is a high quality scan. And the reason I'm very excited about it is because it's by my favourite person. Favourite composer, at least. I wouldn't say my favourite person. One of them. Herbert Howells. Herbert Norman Howells. Herbert is the name of Hugo's middle name. That doesn't make sense, does it? Hugo's middle name is Herbert. I like talking like Yoda. You know, just saying words in a random order and hopefully they make sense in a jumbled up way. Particularly when I'm high on Lemsip. It's interesting because this hymn book, I'm not sure which hymn book it comes from, Steve, but apparently Howells is still alive. It says Herbert Howells, born in 1892, which indeed he was. Died in 1893. No, he didn't. Died in 1983. The words to this hymn, you're all dying to know, aren't you? God who spoke in the beginning, forming rock and shaping spar. Set all life and growth in motion, earthly wood, earthly world and distant star. He who calls the earth to order is the ground of what we are. Well, that's easy for you to say. Yeah, they don't know the tune. The tune is called Kensington. I'm very intrigued. This is the first time that I will have ever heard this hymn, and I wonder if there's anyone in the chat who knows this tune. So, it doesn't look quite as ambitious as Michael, as All My Hope in God Has Found It. It doesn't look quite as difficult to play as that, but it's in the same key. It's an F major. 3 verses, and this is the premiere for Beauty and Sound. This unknown hymn by Howells called Kensington. Let's enjoy this together. It's an interesting tune with some interesting ideas. I don't think it's as good as Michael, to be honest. And actually, there are some rhythms in it which certainly catch out the organist when he's high on Lemsip. So your boy Richard here got caught out by a rhythm in the first bar. Actually, Nala's back scratching the cat stool. The cat stool. Piano stool. Listen to these harmonies here. That's interesting, isn't it? And then the previous phrase. I mean, dare I say it, actually, this doesn't sound, I don't know, Maurice, you might, I don't know whether you'll have a bit more of an insight in this, but I don't know whether this sounds like howls, you know, that the really mature harmonic language that we all know and love. Maybe this was a really early howls. Don't know, someone give me a little bit of insight into this. I don't know anything about it. I don't know when it was composed. There's no date, you know, as you wouldn't expect there to be a composition date on a hymn tune, but there's no indication of when it was composed. Jerry, thank you very much for your donation. You have to dash to rehearsal. An amazing VC. Well, it's been all right so far. I wouldn't call it amazing so far. I think your boy here has got a little bit of an issue with his Lemsip. It's sending him a little bit crazy. I've got cats scratching the piano stool to high heaven. Anyway, let's go on. Steve, thanks for that. Mark Cardenas has requested a hymn called God of Mercy and Compassion. Right. Can someone do me a favour? Could somebody please... let's just have a look. Let's have a look, Mark. I'll look for you. You've given me a hymn book, but you haven't given me a hymn number. I don't even know whether it's in this hymn book or not. Common Praise. God of Mercy. God of Mercy. It's not even in here, to be honest, guys. It's not even in there. We're going to have to zoom past that one. God of... the tune is called... What's the tune called? We can get... don't even know what the tune's called. Brilliant. Anyway, the next one by Alle Wale, that's a terrible pronunciation, is There's a Wideness in God's Mercy. This surely has to be in here. This is a great tune. There's a wideness in God's mercy. Come on. We've got to find one hymn eventually. There it is. Corvdale 598. This reminds me of when I had an operation a few years ago, a minor operation. Don't worry, guys. I know you're all really worried about me. A minor operation, and I was on codeine. I don't know whether you've had codeine before, but codeine just sends you absolutely barking mad. And I'm just having flashbacks of being on codeine. Anyway, Alle Wale, again, sorry for the pronunciation of your name there, has requested There's a Wideness in God's Mercy. And the reason that he's given for requesting this is simply, this is great, it's quite simply, listening pleasure. Well, I hope I can give you some pleasure in your listening throughout the course of this next hymn. And then I will talk about the quiz after this hymn that we did on New Year's Eve. Long overdue. So I have a question for you. I gave you a bunch of questions on New Year's Eve. So I'll talk about it in a sec. Question though for you right now, very simply, is if you were to go to your desert island and in your briefcase, for whatever strange reason, just go with it, you only had space, imagine you've packed your Speedos, your flippers, your snorkel, and a bit of sun cream, and a sandwich to keep you going, and a book, and your phone so you can watch Beauty and Sound, of course. You've got space for one hymn in your briefcase. What's the hymn? So, what is your one hymn that you cannot live without? Let me know in the chat. So, next week I will go through the answers to the quiz at the end of Virtual Church next week. So, if you entered the quiz, there is a winner. So, we'll have £50 going your way very soon. If you want to know the answers and find out the winner and hear the questions, perhaps join in next week at the end of Virtual Church, where we'll zoom through the answers very quickly. So let me know in the chat what your favourite hymn ever is, basically. Yes, you do have space. No, in fact, imagine on the desert island, there is already a great sound system just ready to be plugged in. So you don't need to take your sound system. You've got the best speakers. You've got the Beauty and Sound speakers on the island. And it sounds amazing. But you can only take one hymn. I'd be really interested to know what you come back with. Then perhaps on the back of that, we can then do a top 10 Virtual Church, top 10 hymns based on what you've said. We did those last year, but we haven't done one yet this year. So a top 10, maybe top 20 even hymns will be coming your way very soon, based on what you suggest. Next hymn is a request from Julian, and it is, as he's written, it's a beautiful Bach harmonisation. It's O thou who dost accord us the highest prize and guerdon, thou hope of all our race, Jesu, do thou afford us the gift we ask of pardon for all who humbly seek thy face. The tune is called Innsbruck, and it is, as Julian has said in his reasoning for requesting it, it's a beautiful Bach harmonisation. I think Julian is right there. That really is a beautiful Bach harmonisation. It's also a beautiful tune, isn't it? I've actually got a mute button down here, which is very useful. A beautiful tune and beautiful harmony. There's no one who would do it better than the great man himself. It's wonderful to have access to this quint on the grate, by the way, guys, because on the old Viscount, I had enough physical stops for basically 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stops on the old Viscount. But the Great Division, Hoofdwerk, on the Rotterdam organ has 13 stops. So I had to forfeit one physical stop, or one virtual stop. And it was the quint, 5 1/3, and I'm glad to have it back now because I love using it. It's very useful playing it up the octave. I used this in the Alain last night in Le Jardin Suspendu. It's really beautiful, particularly if you use it up the octave with a 16-foot. Really nice. So it's nice to have access to all of these stops. Katie has requested a great hymn for Lent. Actually, this is probably more Passion-tide, actually. There is a green hill far away without a city wall, where the dear Lord was crucified, who died to save us all. The tune is called Horsley, and it's by W. Horsley. I like it when hymns are named after the composer. I just like the idea of the composer naming the hymn after themselves, like me naming a hymn McVeigh. I wouldn't want to be associated to it. I'd name it something else. What would I name it? I don't know. I'd probably name it Coates. Who else have we got chatting? Actually, once I'm playing this hymn, let me know who's in, would you? Let me know who's in by giving me a +1 and your location. I think you've done it already, but just do it again for me. Richard Nolan, what are you saying? I mute the button to mute chat when we distract him. Yeah, well, have a go at distracting me right now as I play this beautiful hymn for Katie. There is a green hill far away without a city wall. Let's go to the top angle. great to see good, diverse community today. Even got people in from Liverpool, Somerset. I can't quite see this. The chat's gone up off the top. Michigan, Minnesota, with my mum. Yep, well, keeping her company. That's good of you. Thank you. Virginia Beach, nice. Iowa, Argentina. I saw a lot more up above, so I'll have to go back and have a look. The next hymn is for our resident track list maker, and by that I mean the very helpful chap who puts the timestamps, who has been putting the timestamps to the hymns each week, which is very, very helpful indeed. So I need to speak very clearly, basically, so he knows what they are. There is a hope that burns within my heart, that gives me strength for every passing day, a glimpse of glory now revealed in meagre part, yet drives all doubt away. It's a Stuart Townend hymn. Oh, by the way, well done for noticing my most holiest of holy socks. So I wouldn't say that was entirely true. A lot of my socks are very holy. Last night, I don't think it was entirely intentional to wear holy socks for a live organ recital, but hey ho. I was actually trying to wear sensible socks, which is why they didn't have any markings on them, but alas. You can see actually, because all of the sensible socks I have in the drawer, it was right at the bottom. It's probably been eaten by a moth. It's been in there for so long. The socks have been in there for so long. But these colourful socks don't have holes in them. I don't think these do. These London socks, because they get worn. So I was trying to dress sensibly, but I ended up having a hole in my sock, so that completely undid everything. I should have worn my pink clown socks or something. That would have been a bit better, wouldn't it? So we have 3 verses of this. It's by Stuart Townend and Mark Edwards. Good night, Heidi. You have to sleep now. Take care. I'll see you next week. Thank you, Heidi, for your donation tonight. That's very kind. Thank you, Benjamin. That was beautiful. It's a beautiful hymn, isn't it? And thank you for requesting it. I actually intended to have a solo registration on the first verse, but for some reason my hands went into the wrong direction and didn't have it. I was supposed to have the choir sesquialter actually. That one. Oh well. At least it wasn't the Shamards. Oh, Lucas Bauer, you naughty, naughty boy. NEH. I'm going to use one NEH. I think it's 187. No, it's not. 180. Oh, it was one out. 186. Lucas fell in love with this hymn ever since he was introduced to it by me and Caroline, singing it and playing it. So Caroline sang "Tell Out My Soul, the Greatness of the Lord" in Arundel. And when I did a virtual church from Arundel Cathedral in 20. When was it? Was it last? I think it was last year, or a year before, perhaps. And Lucas Bauer has loved it ever since, so he's requested it. So thank you, Lucas. Tune is called Woodlands, and it's a bit filthy. This is a paraphrase of the Magnificat. My soul doth magnify the Lord, and my spirit hath rejoiced in God my Saviour. For he hath regarded the lowliness of his handmaiden. For behold, from henceforth all generations shall call me blessed. For he that is mighty hath magnified me. Then what? And holy is his name. Anyway, so this is a paraphrase on the mag, as it's often called here, the mag and nunc. 4 verses. You'll all know this. Well, Lucas now knows it. Let's remind Lucas how it goes, because he loves it so much. This is a rowdy one. By the way, guys, the voluntary tonight, I'm leaving up to you, as usual. But I'm actually going to allow you to vote for something that I played last night. So anything that you heard in last night's organ recital, you can have again tonight for the voluntary. So yeah, if you don't know what I played last night, then you ought to go and have a quick look at the track list. It's a previous video. It's got Ukraine written on the thumbnail in a pretty funky flag effect, which I was quite proud of actually. Excuse me, a bit of a sore throat there. So yeah, I'll happily play anything from last night's concert, last night's recital. Where are we going to go next? We had a request from Ben. Now I think this is a different Ben to Benjamin Yao. It's just simply Ben. Well, thank you, Ben. He's asked for a very well-known hymn. It's not a Lent one, so we have to step away from Lent for a little minute. And it's such a great hymn. I wish I could play it at every church service with all the stops out on that last verse. And then in brackets, if the school allows me to play the organ at all, may try to play it at my year 13 graduation service. That's cool. And would be interested to see how loud you can get it how loud you can get it at the last verse. Ben, well, I think a challenge like that is something that I will happily relish. How loud can I get it? You're asking me how loud I can go. Well, I tell you, I'll show you how loud we can go. Number 436 in here. Praise my soul, the King of heaven. To his feet thy tribute bring. Ransomed, healed, restored, forgiven. Who like me his praise should sing? Praise him, praise him, praise him, praise him, praise the everlasting King. So Ben, who I assume to be still at school, would like me to basically, he wants to see how loud I can go in the final verse. Would it be possible if you could omit verse 2, please? So we get that last verse plus the quietness of the third verse. Omit verse 2, what do you mean? So we get the last verse plus the quietness of the third verse. Why can't I have verse 2 and then verse 3 quiet? I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Ben, but anyway, that's David Brown. That's a lovely suggestion. Which one would you like? Buxtehude, Lenten Prelude. Let me know which one. I'll have to get my producer to go and fetch it. She's actually not around. I think she's might be busy, so that might be quite a tricky one to do. So, chat, if you think this organ is loud enough at the end, you have to give me a thumbs up, or if you think it will go louder, you've got to give me a thumbs down, and I'll give it another go. So you can be the judge, all right? Let's see what happens. Hopefully it won't wake the little man upstairs. I don't mean God, I mean Hugo. you reckon, chat? Was that a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Will this organ go louder than that? What do you think? I can leave that to you to decide. I think we need to know whether Ben had a thumbs down. Oh, that's fighting talk. Thumbs up from Jerry, Craig, thumbs up. Oh, Hillary's on the fence. Knife and fork, thumbs down, up. Some people want it. I think it will go louder. Philip Scott thinks it's as loud as it will go. Okay. Well, should we go back into the fourth verse, see whether it will go louder? Okay. Well, let's see then. We've had some thumbs down. We've got to turn all those thumbs, or those upside down thumbs, upside down again. Thumbs down, upside. Turn those thumbs down, upside down. Is that right? What does that even mean? I think it makes sense in my head. Here we go again. Good chappy, cheeky. Daniel, thumbs down. Can't believe it. This is outrageous. Right, I'm going to win this argument. Right, does anybody want to give me a thumbs down for that one? Because if you do, then frankly, I'm not quite sure. Because the only stops that aren't drawn, Nathan, give over. Give over with you. The only stops that aren't drawn, as you might be able to see, are the tremulants. So Ben, Nathan, give up. That is literally as loud as this organ will go. Apart from if I literally turn it up in Hamburg. I don't think Ben's watching, so he's going to have a great time with this one. Ben, when you watch this, you've got to leave me a comment, and then everyone watching now will click like on your comment. Dennis Hodges is up next. Dennis Hodges has been waiting for absolutely ages for his request. Right, Dennis, what have you asked for? Is it another loud one? I hope not. It's not. It's Let Us Ever Walk with Jesus from the Evangelical Lutheran Worship. Now, this is interesting. Oh, this is a pain. Craig, thank you for your five books. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, mate. So apparently, Dennis, Let Us Ever Walk with Jesus is hymn number 0 in this book. I don't think it is. It can't be. I don't think there is a hymn at number 0. Let me find it for you. It's number, I don't know how you got 0 because it's 802. I suppose the 8 looks like a 0 and the 0 looks like a 0. The 2, no, not so much. It's a nice one though. So 4 verses, and this will give our ears a little bit of a chance just to recuperate after all of those chamades. We're going to be banished to the nether regions for using chamades in Lent, aren't we? Let's tone it right down, guys. Let's go. Well, our resident stop identifier will tell us all what stops I'm using. I'm going to try and catch him out, though. Something isn't right there. I can't work out what it is. My left hand is too loud. Why is my left hand too loud? It shouldn't be. I know why. It's because rarely in this country, in the UK, we rarely use the swell division as a solo manual. It's very uncommon, you know, in French music, for example. Let's say Franck regularly asks for the récit de trompette, so we use it for that. But in English music, and when accompanying services here in England, the swell is always coupled through to the great. So it's actually using it as a solo division, we're not used to it. So I'm not quite used to how loud these solo stops are on the swell on this organ. Try that again. Resident solo stop identifier, second time lucky. It strikes me that perhaps people over on the other side of the pond, or even outside of England, might not have heard of lemsip. I don't know. It's basically a drink or powder that you put into water and it flavours the water. And it contains paracetamol and I think other stuff as well. Good stuff, medicine. But you drink it rather than having it as a tablet. And alas, it's now empty. That was a blackcurrant flavoured lemsip. The other popular flavour is lemon, but I prefer the blackcurrant one, actually. I need to ask someone sensible in the chat. Is there anybody in the chat who is sensible? I don't know. James Palmer's very sensible. James Palmer did a great job the other week of producing Virtual Church. I asked the chat what voluntary I should have, and I asked people to let me know based on something that I played last night. What piece should I play for a voluntary tonight? And I saw lots of requests coming in, but I wasn't able to sort of count them all. So can someone sensible, possibly James, let me know approximately which couple of pieces are in the lead? We've got a while yet. Yes, Daniel, I got your request, and I'm actually, funny enough, about to play it. It's number 420 in the NEH, in this one. It's a, and Daniel says, what is it? Daniel says, it sounds great on the organ. Richard rocks. Well, thanks very much. I don't know about rocks, but yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I rock in my socks. Just a quick query. Oh, Daniel's going to come back with Jerusalem Litany there. 545. I didn't play that last night. Nathan, were you even watching last night? It is very good though, isn't it? I could play that one if you want me to. Good chappy. Well, that's why I didn't ask you, because you are as boxed as a mad of frogs. Indeed. So, Wolvercote, O Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end. Be thou forever near me, my master and my friend. This is supposed to be a Lent virtual church. What happened to that? We're in Lent, so we need to stick with Lent hymns. There is actually a little bit of a semi-viral Lent hymns video on BIS sung by one of my previous choirs. I think a lot of you would have seen it already. It's had quite a few views, and you get to see me conducting a little bit. So if you want to see me rocking the baton, as it were, go and check out that video. It's full of Lent hymns, and the choir sing reasonably well, I think. Nathan, no need to apologise. It's all fun and banter. Don't you worry at all. Le Jardin Suspendu from Jerry. That's a beautiful piece, isn't it? It's not very voluntary friendly, though, is it? I think we need something. Actually, I suppose in Lent it might be. Okay, Daniel Kubaki has requested a Wolvercote. Oh, I want to know something. So occasionally, well, I look over here and glance just to make sure the stream is working okay. It's the YouTube control panel. You've got all the power in the world on that screen over there. Just don't go near it, all right? And it tells me how many people I've got watching. I've got 229 people watching now, and that actually is what I want to ask you. Basically, what keeps you watching virtual church, and what makes you turn off? Okay, the virtual church is about hymns and organ music. It's also about a bit of chat and a bit of informality. But the numbers go up, they go down, and obviously, very few people would watch the entire thing. Some of you do, but I actually really, really want to know. And this would do me a lot of good, and I think would do virtual church a lot of good. What makes you switch off? Do you only have half an hour to watch, Or do you just get so emphatically bored with what I'm saying that you just have to go and do something else, have to go and stare at the wall and watch the paint peel off because that's more interesting? Or is it the fact that I play wrong notes? Do I play the hymns too, I don't know, too quickly, whatever? What is it? What makes you just click the off button and go somewhere else? Let me know. It's a question that I sort of want to get to the bottom of. What can we do to get to 10,000 live listeners? We'll actually be at 80,000 subscribers, I think, in the next few weeks, which will be a wonderful occasion. I should have a little party. What could I do to get 80,000 of you listening at once? What can I do? How could I tempt you all to come to a live stream and we can get 80,000? Impossible, but I really want to get the numbers up. Simply because it's just so much fun seeing all the chat on the screen appear. It's just so amazing. So tell me, guys, what I've got to do. Whilst you're telling me, I'm going to play this hymn for Daniel. Cool. Daniel, thank you. Yes, I do enjoy playing that one. I would say it's one of the harder hymns to play. And I remember learning that when I was organ scholar at university, and it took me a long time to get used to how to play the first couple of bars, actually. Just this bit here. It doesn't fall under the fingers very nicely, unless you sort of work it out. It took me a while to get that right. I think I got most of that right just then. I look forward to seeing what you were saying. I was trying to look up actually as I was playing that. I've got the chat on the iPad here. Look at that, full screen chat. That's pretty high tech, isn't it? I've got the chat as big as I possibly can, so I can see it. I'm going to zoom back up there to see what you were suggesting for a vol. It's all in your hands. I think you're not fussy, are you? Really? Are you fussy? Are you a fussy? Are you a fussy gang? I think you might. You pretend not to be, but you are. You are fussy. You're very fussy. What do I need? I don't even know what bromhexin is, to be honest with you. Is that some sort of medicine? So this week, I'm actually going to go record a new organ. It's a bit different, this one. I'll announce it very, very soon. But I'm going over on Thursday to record an organ, which I think particularly all of you Americans will find very interesting indeed. I won't give anything away right now. But yes, I think you Americans would be very interested in this new organ that I'm heading to record later in the week. I'll also be interviewing the managing director of the company, asking about the organ, about the company, all of that sort of stuff, giving you a little bit of an insight into it. So I'm really excited to bring you that over the coming weeks once I've, put it all together, edited it, and made it look glorious. It's hard work, making me look glorious. Oh dear. Now, we've actually got a couple more hymns to go. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We've got loads. Well, we've got 2 more hymns to go. A couple more. Derek has asked for, actually, one of my favourite childhood hymns. This hymn always used to creep me out. It was always really spooky. I need to actually... I thought it was in there. Hang on, it's not. I've got the wrong. It must be in there because that's how I know it. Let me find it. Let's go back to the index to find the tune. I'm really confused. How do I know this hymn if it's not in this hymn book? Why isn't it in this hymn book? Let me just find it because it's awesome. I need to go to my emails to find a high quality scan from Derek. I didn't print it off because I was just convinced that it was in NEH. But it doesn't appear to be. Christian, dost thou see them on the holy ground, how the powers of darkness compass thee around. That's in C minor. And then in C major, Christian, up and smite them, counting gain but loss, in the strength that cometh by the holy cross. It was I just, as a chorister, was really creeped out by this hymn. I used to love it. I used to really love it. It was basically, it used to go absolutely bonkers. So Derek has said, it's a favourite Lenten hymn, mine too, especially verse 4. Well, verse 4 is, well, I know thy trouble, O my servant true. Thou art very weary, I was weary too. But that toil shall make thee some day all mine own, and the end of sorrow shall be near my throne. So let's have this hymn. go. That's a good Lenten hymn that always sticks in my mind as a favourite from when I was a young boy, far younger than I am now. So I think, because that's a pretty good rousing hymn, that should probably be our final hymn this evening. I'm going to go and grab my pile of music from last night, and we can have a little bit of a vote. Okay, so are you all ready? It's down to you now, guys. It's down to you. It's interesting because when we started that hymn, we had 230. It's now down to 214, down to 212. Thanks. When I play a hymn which is a little bit unknown or a bit obscure, that's normally what does it. Numbers go down. So I know you can't please everyone. Oh, there's a Hugo toy down there. There's Hugo toys everywhere. So are you ready? What you need to do is get your emojis ready. So thumbs up. Yeah, okay. So, you know, like in Parliament, they go eyes, eye, all that sort of stuff. They're not going to do that. But what I want you to do is give me a thumbs up emoji, okay? Not a thumbs down. So if you want a piece, and we'll see which one gets the most thumbs up, okay? So you have to be ready, you have to do it all at the same time, okay? So last night's organ voluntaries are these. If you want the Fantasia and Fugue in G minor, give me a thumbs up. Let's have a look. How many thumbs up are we going to get from that one? Jonathan P, you were in first. Come on, faster, 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 faster. Okay, a few. If you want the Chorale Prelude from the suite. Actually, how are we going to separate the thumbs up? We should do a different emoji, shouldn't we? Okay, that one actually the bark is quite popular, isn't it? Okay, so shall we look, guys? Shall we just go for the bark? Tomato just wants it. Definitely wants it because it's given 3 thumbs up. Barry's like, nah. Barry, what do you want? Oh, come on. Oh, even Nathan's given a yes. So if Nathan's given a yes, so we'll have to go with it because Nathan's new. We'll go for this. And I'll give you a bit of a treat because I actually play I'll play the fugue fraction faster than I did last night. Because I just played it a little bit under tempo. Right, so all of you people who are channel members, you can now use your bark emoji, and King Ledger, that your comment has just been blocked because YouTube thinks it's spam. I don't know what it is. It's a person with glasses and a moustache. Okay, so channel members, give me your bark emoji. It's general number 1. There we go. If you'd like to become a channel member, by the way, please do consider becoming a channel member. It's £5.99 a month, supports Beauty and Sound. Or you can become a Patreon, where you get behind the scenes access. I know patrons, I actually need to catch up with quite a few bits and bobs with you. But I'll try to do that this week. Or if you just want to leave a donation, that would be equally appreciated and very, very useful, actually. So here we go. This is BWV 542. Caroline Balfour Spanner is giving Nala's emoji. Let's go for top angle, and Caroline will change the angles as we go through. to 214 listeners right now. 200. You know what? Every time I say the number, it drops down by 2. Where we're going to be after this one, after this piece. Well, as you know, that was the Fantasia and Fugue in G minor, once again, because you had it last night, by the great man J.S. Bach. That piece, as I briefly mentioned last night, was actually written as an audition piece by Bach for an organist's job at Hamburg Cathedral in, I don't know, there isn't a date there, but the theme and the counter subject aren't Bach's own. So Bach did not come up with this tune. That's not Bach's own, motif, his own subject. That was actually given to him as the competition theme, if you like. So all of the applicants for this job of organist at Hamburg Cathedral were given that subject and the counter subject as well. And we're told, so this bit here, this is the counter subject, so it goes here. They were all told to write a fugue on that, and that's Bach's. That's Bach's submission. He didn't get the job. It's thought that was composed much earlier than the Fantasia. The Fantasia, I think Bach paired them up later on. The Fantasia, it's thought, came much later on than the fugue. The fugue is, the Fantasia is harmonically just extraordinary. There's just so chromatic. I don't know whether you've noticed, but the bit where it goes, you have this sort of idea. Where are we? Here. This is the first quiet bit after the big introduction, right? And then you have this ascending A major scale, right? So, but the bit before that, a little bit of theory before we go to bed tonight. So this bit, right? This bit here. That's a chord of A major, and the piece is in G minor. Ugh, yuck, Right? So the point is, start in G minor, okay? This next section ends in A major, and then we have an ascending scale, taking us up another tone to B minor, and then we're up another semitone to C minor, and then it goes down a bit, and then we end up there in D major. So we're now in the dominant of the tonic, okay? It doesn't end there though. He then goes even higher, doesn't he? So he ends on this extraordinary chord. And then what happens? So that's D major. And then what does he do? He does this. The D major scale, 7, and then E flat. And then where are we here? We're up another semitone, we're in E flat minor there. No, it doesn't end there though. Oh heavens, no, that wouldn't be Bach. He keeps going. So E flat minor, goes for all these chords. Until this chord here, which is an F minor, first inversion, and then back to G minor. So what's he done there? He's actually done an entire scale of keys. Have you ever noticed that? So G minor, A major, B minor, C minor, D major, E flat minor, F minor, back to G minor there. It's extremely clever, and that sort of harmonic language certainly in the Baroque period, just wasn't really being done by anyone else. So as I said last night, when this was composed, it would have been extremely modern, very modern, and you can just imagine hearing these for the non sort of experienced or technical organists amongst the crowd. Organs in northern Germany, where Bach was organist, were tuned in a very unique way. Let's just keep it very simple. It's called the temperament of tuning. And because of certain temperaments, I'm not going to go into tuning today because it's just far too advanced and scientific for this time of night on a Sunday. But certain tuning, certain temperaments didn't lend themselves to certain keys simply because the way they were tuned. And this piece goes through all of the keys, some very extraordinary keys, which would have sounded extraordinary on those temperaments in his time. And also the last little fact. Well, it might be accidental, but is anything by Bach accidental? So you all know, I'm sure, that in German, in the German language, B flat, as we call it, they call a B. Okay? So our B flat for them is a B. Okay? An A is an A C is a C, and then a B natural is an H in German. So it's B, A, C, H. There's that wonderful piece by Liszt which starts on that, isn't there? Which does that over. And so on. So BACH was very known to Bach, as in the musical motif, and he wrote some pieces on that motif. There is in bar 43 and 44, if you have your scores, a reference to BACH in the left hand from the third beat of bar 43. You have this from beat 3. Now, all of those notes together, okay, but perhaps it's just a harmonic language. But if we just call out some of those notes, so you have a B flat there, or let's just go by the Germanic language of B, A, C, H. Is that coincidental, I wonder? Don't know. I'll leave that one for you to decide. So I'm going to call it there tonight. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much for joining me and for sticking around. Thank you for those of you who've stuck around for the theory lesson. I really enjoyed myself tonight, and I'm going to go and have a little bit more Lemsip, I think, and a Strepsil. Other sweets, cough sweets are available. Lozenge. And I will see you over the coming days on various videos. I'm going to do a new video series on BIS, which will include, and so you can get sort of thinking and start getting involved, which will include you, and it will include your setups. So if you want to feature your organ setup and your TV hi-fi setup, send it in. So how do you watch BIS? So I've had quite a few submissions already, some really quite spectacular setups, and I've had some like laptops and stuff like that. The wackier, the bigger, the weirder, the better, basically. So pictures, please, of your setup, of how you watch BIS. I'll get more into the organ setup another time, but how you watch BIS. I want to see a picture of me on your screen. How do I look in your room? Okay, my voice is about to give out, so I'll call it a night there. Good night, everyone. Take care and cheerio. Goodbye.